Hey guys, welcome to the channel, and in this case, talking about the Sauer P320. Please do stay for this video, especially if you're interested in survival, preparedness, self-defense, guns. You want to stay and listen what I have to say. If by the end of the video you feel it was worth it, if it's your first time here, please do subscribe. That does help the channel quite a bit, and I would definitely appreciate that. So, Sauer P320, the gun adopted by the US military, that is so controversial in so many ways. Controversial because it is one of these guns that just fired on its own when dropped. There's plenty of YouTube videos regarding that, and Sauer fixed that by just making the trigger a little bit lighter, which in all practical aspects does not change the deficient design that allows that to happen in the first place. But we now have yet another video of the Sauer firing on its own. This is from the Montville police, and this is what happened. Let me go back here and show you how this went down. So you have a bunch of officers, they have a suspect, they have to move him, and boom, there it goes, fires on its own. The gun was in the holster, obviously with a round chambered, and the gun fired on its own. There's no excuse for this. Let me make that perfectly clear. There's no excuse for a gun firing on its own like it did there. This only happens when you have a defective design. This is the only excuse for something like this. No one is touching the trigger. The gun is in the holster, and it fires on its own. The difference is that in this time, we have it on video. There's been many reports about this same thing happening from other agencies, other officers, and civilians that carry their guns. This has been happening many times already. There are lawsuits ongoing against SIG for this very same thing. The gun is simply not safe. And before I go on and say anything else, if you have a SIG P320 or a gun that is based on this same design, it is not safe. You should not carry it anymore. I wouldn't even buy this gun. I would not definitely carry this gun, especially that something you want to avoid as of right now. The gun is simply defective. The design allows for this to happen. And the fact that this was done and approved by the US military, when any firearm expert that knows a thing or two about guns, and I understand there's lots of firearms experts that don't understand a damn thing about what they're doing. I mean, yeah, I know that to be the case. But if you are knowledgeable about firearms, about how their internal mechanisms move and work, you will understand that this can happen with the SIG P320. Now, why on earth did the US military adopt a defective design? I just cannot believe, I will not believe that this is just a matter of stupidity, of ignorance, of lack of knowledge. No, this is a multi-million-dollar contract for the US military. There have been firearms experts involved in this acquisition. Someone here realized that, yeah, the gun fires on its own when it drops. And beyond that, yes, we analyze the moving parts, and this just allows for specific circumstances, the gun can fire on its own. That is not acceptable. The idea that any firearms expert worth his salt took a long look at this thing, at this design, and took a long look at this compared to the Glock and chose a P320, the only explanation I have for that is corruption. It's money involved. Yeah, if you don't know, right, this is like Nemo, you know, Finding Nemo, when the father says, Nemo, you think you can do things you can't? Well, this is the same thing. There's people that think they know about guns. They don't know a damn thing about guns. That happens all the time. I've come across firearms experts teaching classes that didn't understand things such as the Glock not having different trigger pulls for the first round fired and the following ones. I would raise my hand at, no, that's not how a Glock works. Give me just 30 seconds. I'll pick one up from over there and show you how you're mistaken. No. The Glock has a longer first trigger pull and the other ones are shorter. Okay, I'll shut up and stay wasting my time listening to you and just There's people like that. Now, there's people like that, but there's not enough people like that working in the US military when it's a matter of a multi-million-dollar contract. The only way you choose the defective design of the SIG P320 over the Glock pistol, which is the most reliable, most proven firearm the world has ever seen. The Glock fanboy butthurt because of the SIG P3. No, it's simply a matter of common sense and understanding how guns work. If you know that, you see clearly that this is not as safe as a Glock. There's guns that are well designed, proven, and the idea that someone chose, instead of going with the most proven, most reliable service pistol ever seen, which is the case of the Glock, and instead went with a P320, brand new, no track record, no decades and thousands and millions of units out there in the market, just proving how reliable or unreliable it is. And you went with it saying P320, and even that with a design that is obviously not nearly as safe and is prone to firing on, not only firing when it's dropped, but it's even prone to firing on its own in certain conditions with a little bit of wear and tear on some of the parts. That is mind-blowing. That is not acceptable. You cannot blame stupidity or ignorance in that case. It is the U.S. military. There is someone there that knows how guns work, I would assume. Now, is it possible that someone at the Montville police, and especially when it comes to acquisition, someone said, oh, I will go with a SIG P320. Yes, I'm pretty sure that someone in some police department that doesn't know enough about guns so as to analyze these internal moving parts made the bad decision of acquiring the SIG P320. Yeah, I absolutely believe that's possible because, again, there's people that think they're gun experts, there's people that think they know what they're talking about, and very often they don't. They don't understand how safeties work. They don't understand why the Glock is inherently so safe, and basically the gun firing on its own is impossible. It has never happened. It will never happen. The moving parts are set in such a way that it simply cannot happen. It's not because the Glock is magic. It's because it's a sound firearms design. Not all that different from the gun that you see over there. That is not even a pistol. That's a revolver. That's a Colt Python. But the Colt Python has a certain internal safety that does not allow for the gun to fire on its own. It could be 1,000 years. It could be 1,000,000 years that the gun will not fire on its own. The gun, you can hit it with a hammer until you destroy it completely. When loaded, it will still not fire on its own. The same cannot be said about the SIG P320 due to its defective design. That's simply the way it is. Okay, guys? So please, for crying out loud, if you made the mistake of buying this thing, don't carry it. Personally, I wouldn't even want to have it. But most of all, carrying it, oh, but I've been carrying it my entire life. It works perfectly well. Okay, you dumb ass. You will get yourself hurt because the design allows for such a thing to happen. You should not have with you a firearm that has a certain design that could allow for such a possibility. It is just negligent to make that conscious decision. So please don't do that anymore. Change it for something else. If you don't like the Glock, find some other gun that is proven, that has a history, that has enough units out there in the market, and people have been carrying it for a certain amount of time, and they know the thing is safe. This is not safe. There's a number of lawsuits. There's a number of individuals that are just telling us about them having the exact same experience that you can witness here. The gun on the holster firing on its own. It is incredible. It is incredible that this was adopted by the U.S. military. It is, well, it's quite believable that a lot of people still think, oh, I just fired it. It's so sweet shooting. That's great. Yeah, and it's dangerous as well. Guys, if you want to learn more about survival and preparedness and make good decisions in that regards to survival skills and for the economic aspect of preparedness, Surviving the Economic Collapse, my books available in the links there below. See you next time. Take care.